This is Pastor Roby from New Living Ministry, and today I just thought I would do this small insert today concerning the new phase that everybody's been talking about, the new show that's been out called Empire. And it's very interesting that, the believers, as we say, have been really into that show. Everybody been, following the cast, Lucius, Cookie, and all the other people that works on that show. But today, I thought it would be very interesting that I would have one of our ministers, Minister Waller, talk about that show and give you a little bit of insight what God gave her concerning the show Empire. Sister Waller, what do you think about that show Empire? What was it that God gave you concerning that show Empire?
Well, like everyone else, I was watching this show. It was entertaining. It was very entertaining. But the last show, the season finale, there were some things that went on that kind of, made you kind of raise your eyebrow. Now, watching it and being a believer, you understand there are certain things that happen, like the drugs, the sexuality, different things like that. And because of the world, we kind of been conditioned to be like, okay, yeah, and leave it at that. But the last show, the season finale was so interesting.
So it was a good show.
It was a really good show.
So everybody watching that show.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was really a good show.
Empire. Everybody watching Empire.
Yeah. And so what happened was my brother came over and he said, Sherry, have you ever thought how the name Lucius and Lucifer sound kind of similar? And I said, yeah, that's right. And so what I did, I went and looked up the words. Now,
so you researched Lucius and Lucifer.
Yes.
Very close words in similarity. What did you find out?
Yeah, so both of them derive from the same Latin word, L-U-X, lux, which means light. And I'm like, come on, okay, maybe that's just, because we think, okay, maybe that's just a coincidence. But then when I went in and I viewed the characters, Lucius' character, about him wanting to be the head, and then some of the things that he said on the last show, like, not even God himself can kill me. If you kill me, I'm going to raise myself, this, that, and the other. So different things like that. And I'm like, okay, it doesn't make sense. So from that, I began to sit and think, and I'm like, Lord, what's really going on? Because, of course, we know how the world operates. It does smoke screens and shadows and different things like that. So I began to think on the sons. Now, the main...
He has sons? How many sons did he have?
He has 3 sons.
What were they named?
Jamal, Andre, and Hakeem.
Wow.
Jamal, Andre, and Hakeem.
What was their role in the show?
Okay. Jamal, what the Lord gave me from the sons is basically, it's like a demonic trinity. And so when you look on it, okay, so Jamal was basically the homosexual son.
Hold on, he had a homosexual son?
Yes, he had a homosexual son.
Wow.
So Jamal was a homosexual son. Andre was the son who basically helped his father to start the empire from a business perspective. So he kept he kept the accounts and everything like that and helped to build accounts to make it bigger than what it is now. And Hakeem was the son that was getting ready to, basically rising to fame.
Okay.
And then you have Cookie, the ex-wife, who helped to start the empire, but was jailed and so on and so forth. So in dealing with that, God began to show me that, of course, with Andre, not Andre, but Jamal having to been giving the empire, God showed me, and with him being a homosexual, that was basically the homosexual spirit that was trying to take a throne, or basically to have dominion, or to set itself up as a principality within a region. So that was Jamal.
So you mean to tell me Jamal, who played the character as a homosexual, was rising to the top to bring influence to the people that was up under him?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And then you have Andre. Andre's character, the spirit behind it, basically it was pride and greed, because that's what he was going. That's what he was sold on, pride and greed. He didn't think anyone else was able to, because he'd been here for that long and nobody else could do it like him, because obviously he built the company. And then through it, you can see how he was getting greedy to the point of manipulating his brothers. And then you have Hakeem, which was the younger brother. And through the show, Hakeem had multiple women. His girlfriends even had girlfriends.
Wow.
It was a very, 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 very interesting concept. And
so you mean tell me he was sleeping with women who was sleeping with women?
Basically, that's how it was.
So he was into this lifestyle of lust. He was never satisfied to sleep with all these women?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's how that was. And then we have the wife, Cookie. Now, most women love her because she's like, in your face, this is how it's going to happen. I've been here, I'm going to do this, not going to do that.
Very outspoken person.
Yeah, so, but if you look at her character and the things that she represents the Jezebel spirit. Because number one, she's manipulating, to the point of manipulating her own sons.
So you mean to tell me this character, Cookie, was portraying the character or the spirit of Jezebel? And anybody knows about Jezebel, it has to do with the spirit of control, manipulation. Yes. This was her role.
This was her role.
Wow,
this was her role. Even to the point of manipulating her own sons in order to put her agenda across.
Okay.
So that's the gist of the story. And the Lord told me, he was showing me the lust of the flesh, which was Hakeem, the lust of the flesh, which was Jamal, the lust of the flesh, which was Hakeem, and the pride of life, which was Andre. Those are all those similarities and symbolisms within that character.
So each one of those characters, God gave you revelation, and it represent the lust of the eye, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. And this is the thing that the Bible tells us we're going to stay away from. But we are, as saints, you mean tell me saints was watching this show?
Yeah.
Wow, I must agree, because our Facebook, a lot of saints was putting it out there. They was really into this show. So these were things that the saints were allowing into their spirit. The lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. Oh, tell me about it.
Absolutely. And so what happens is with the homosexual agenda, one interesting part of the show on last week is that when Jamal, which is the homosexual son, when his father gave him the empire, there was a artist that was assigned to the label, and the artist wanted to be dropped because he didn't want a homosexual basically running him. So they went to a battle rap and they began to rap and contend. Jamal said some interesting things. He really didn't rap, but he sung it. And some of the things he said, "Who are you to judge me? Because my sin is different than yours. Don't you know," I'm paraphrasing, he said, "Don't you know I pray to the same God that you pray to?" Hold
up! You mean to, he spoke like that? You mean tell me this individual, this character in the show was operating under the guise of the homosexual spirit, and he said, you pray to the same God that we pray to?
Yes.
Wow.
That's exactly what he was saying. He said, "Don't you know I pray to the same God that you pray to? Don't you know he answers my prayers, so who are you to judge me?"
Wow.
That's basically what he said. And so I was thinking about that. Now, for the majority and for the saints who are watching, and definitely people who may not be Christians, as we know, but have a sense or belief in God, they may say, well, hey, they do pray to God. God does answer them. So what it does, it kind of lullabies us.
What it does?
It lullabies us.
It lullabies us. So what it puts us to sleep, basically.
Yeah, basically.
Wow.
Basically. And so we get in our mind that, how can we actually judge them when they pray to God like we pray to God? Different things of that nature. So I believe, through the show, definitely with the son, the homosexual son being given the empire, is really pushing forth the homosexual agenda. And let's not make this whole thing about homosexuality, but it's a sin thing. It's a sin issue.
Yes, it's a sin thing.
And we just need to be aware, and we need to look at these things because it's only a guise. It's only a guise that kind of desensitize us. It desensitizes us in a way of making us sensitive, the unconscious mind sensitive to it. So it's a very interesting.
So you mean tell me we have millions of viewers watching this show, and we can trust a lot of them probably were Christians, as we would call people in this day and age, and they was drawn into this show called Empire, which my understanding was the music industry. Everybody want to rise to the top. And we understand in the Word of God, that was St. Lucifer's desire to get to the top. I would be like the Most High. And this spirit was in operation through this show, which captivated many people in this day and age. They loved this show.
It was the music, because not only that, what made it so interesting is that the music that they produced in the show and they sung in the show, they put it on iTunes. So a person can go and purchase and listen to the song. And then, of course, with Satan being over music in heaven, well, Lucifer at the time being over music in heaven, then we have Lucius being over this big music empire. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So there are so many parallels, and I don't believe in coincidences, and it's too many parallels for it not to be true.
Wow. So you mean tell me we understand that Satan kingdom, one of the most biggest component pushing it is through music.
Absolutely.
And here this young man that represented this homosexual lifestyle was into the music industry. and he rose to the top. And not only does that, it was in the show, but now you can go to iTunes and download it.
Absolutely.
So it's what you put in your spirit. You allow your spirit to open up and receive this type of mentality of thinking in your spirit.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That is really interesting. Saints of God, this is the things that we have to be aware of. You know, we got the Bible tells us to guard our heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. We have to be careful what we allow into our spirit man. Things like this is a clear example that the enemy is using things like this to get into our minds, into our spirits. And we wonder why the church is having such a difficult time in this season, because this is what the saints are watching. They're watching shows that push, lust, sex, greed, fame, fortune. It's pushing that. And the church is sitting by and allowing it to happen. I feel as pastors, we have to have a voice and speak to the people. They are sheep. The saints are sheep. And the sheep need a guide. That's the voice of a pastor. Pastors should have been pushing in their congregation to let the saints know this is a show that you don't watch. But we have our mouth as pastors have been closed. Nobody want to speak out against these type of shows. We let people, the saints of God, watch all this type of stuff. But I'm not going to let the responsibility just at the pastors, but the saints have responsibility as well to know what they're allowing to come into their homes.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that's so interesting about this, when the saints are watching it, now this behavior, they'll sit there watching, they'll be entertained by it. But if it happened in their local church, they wouldn't condone it.
That's true.
That's a very interesting factor. Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Man, it's amazing, saints of God, that people are not aware of the Bible calling the devices of the enemy. We have to be wise as saints of God. And we got to know what the enemy is trying to do in this day and age. We have to know that he's trying to push his own agenda. And we're not going to be part of his agenda. We ought to have the mindset and be the people that God has called us to be. And that's saints of God. Holiness, righteousness, pure, honest, all those things that God tells us we should be. This is what God is coming back for. He said, I'm coming back for a church without spot, wrinkle, blemish, or any such thing. We cannot afford to allow our spirit to be tainted with things like this. An empire, a whole show centered around people trying to gain to the top. The empire, the music industry. And we know through the music industry of the world, they have a lot of secular artists, and everybody want to be top. Everybody want to rise to their fame. But where's the church with all this?
Absolutely.
We have many Christian artists who have transferred over to the secular side now.
That's right.
Not understand they subjecting themselves to the spirit of Lucifer. Because we understand the scripture when the Lord kicked Satan out of heaven, he did not take away what he called him or created him to be. And that was over the music industry. Right. And we wonder why Satan has such a great control in that area. It's because that's what he knows about. But we as believers, saints of God, those who name the name of Christ, should know that, hey, we cannot allow ourselves to be open to that type of secular music. That's why Satan